If you want to reduce your delay to 0, I've got you. I'm going to give you all of the working tips that I have to help you reduce your ping as much as possible. And as you can see, I followed these tips and I'm between 0 and 10 ping, even though I'm very far from the servers. So let's begin. Our first method is the skin and loadout micro optimizations. I'm sure if you've been playing the game for a while, you've heard about 0 delay skins or 0 delay pickaxes, and a lot of people talk about these like they're myths, because there's a lot of speculations on whether they work or whether they don't. But it is fact that they have a very slight difference on your delay. Wearing a skin or a pickaxe with lots of colors and animations will of course require more from your game, whereas simple, single colored skins will require less so that your game can function smoothly. While the change is very minimal in the delay, it's still worth trying. So here are what I've found for the 0 delay cosmetics. And real quick, if you are buying any from the item shop, I would really appreciate if you could use code PROSPCT to help support me, you know what I mean, and help me keep going with this shit. Anyways, up next is the secret 0 delay settings that all of the pros like to hide. I'm not going to get into PC tweaks or console settings. I'm specifically talking about settings in the Fortnite game that anybody could change. There are 4 main settings that you want to make sure are set right. The first of which is performance mode. If you're on a new gen console, you may be able to turn on 120 FPS mode, which is a life changer for your game. Of course, you do need a 120Hz monitor, but once you have that, you can just 120 FPS mode on, boom. Although if you're on an old gen console, you won't be able to get 120 FPS, so my best advice is honestly to try and save up for a new gen console or a PC. And I know that's not really easy for a lot of people, but that's just the unfortunate truth, is that it's very hard to get 0 delay on an old gen console. But that aside, up next are some settings that anybody can do regardless of the platform that you play on. What you want to do is go over to this tab. You want to open your settings, go over to this tab and scroll all of the way down until you see replays. You want to make sure that record replays is off, large team replays is off, and creative replays is off. Because when replays are on, your game is stressing to both run the game and to record the replay of it. So when these are set to off, you're just running the game without having to run the replay, and of course that makes it smoother. And this next one is a very slight but very noticeable change. You want to go over to this first tab where it says motion blur and set that to off. Because motion blur is just one of those things that kind of messes with your FPS when it's on. But finally, the last secret 0 delay setting is over here on the personal tab. You want to scroll down to friend invite permission. And when you set this to no one, that means you can't get friend requests from anybody. And that actually helps you have lower delay because your game isn't processing these requests and updating them every second, you know what I mean? And that same logic can be applied to your friends list. If you have a lot of friends on your friends list, you're going to be lagging. My friend Agent7 Matrix had maxed friends and he lagged all the time. And then when he unadded a bunch of people, his game ran smoother. Because when your game has to update the online status of all of these players, of course it doesn't run as smooth. And now that you've put those settings in, your game should be running way smoother. But now let's talk about your InPerson setup and keeping your platform healthy. First, and maybe the most important tip that I have in this video, is to use Ethernet. Ethernet is this little yellow cable in the back of my PlayStation, which gives me a wired connection rather than a wireless connection. And having this connected helps me have less interferences while playing the game, so that my connection is more consistent and it's more smooth. This is definitely a must-have if you're trying to get better at the game or even go pro. So if you could get Ethernet connected, I heavily recommend it. And next up is something that will be more so for your console health. Whether you're on console, PC, Switch, all gaming platforms have fans built into them so they can cool down and so they can run smoothly. So it's important to not block their function. Make sure your console or PC is not sitting on a thick carpet or sitting down in the corner of your room, because that can cause them to overheat and to build up dust on their fans. Instead, it's best to put it somewhere open, like where I have mine, so that they can breathe. I put mine just on my desk in the open so that it's breathable, you feel me? The fans can function properly, it can cool down, and it can keep running. And on top of this, it also helps to use a duster to clean the inside of your console. I've seen these all over TikTok Shop, Amazon, you know what I mean? It just sprays in there to get the dust off so that the console can keep running smoothly, because I've seen a lot of dudes have their PS4s, PS5s just overheat and go to trash because they didn't fan them out and clean them. And finally, my last tip is to make sure you don't have any other updates, downloads, or apps open. Having other games open in the background or having an update running simultaneously can cause your game to run less smoothly, obviously because your PC or your console is running two things at once. So double check when you play that Fortnite is the only thing open and you don't have any pending updates in the background. But I do want this to be known that the methods I've shown up until now are just small tips and micro optimizations that will help reduce your delay. These are small changes that will help your game run very smoothly, but the only way to truly be zero ping consistently is to buy a high-end PC and to move to Dallas. But jokes aside, you don't need complete and consistent zero ping to do good. If you just follow the tips in this video and keep up your practice, you'll do great. So hopefully these tips have helped you get your delay as close to zero as possible. I'm the Prospect. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.